You're starting to miss it, aren't you? That mask everyone had to wear for the past year. You didn't have to deal with running into that steaming cloud of bad breath. Who knew so many people didn't brush or treat that infected molar that smells like exit 15 on the New Jersey Turnpike? Yup, that stench from the guy who's sitting next to you on the bus spitting violently as he's cursing his wife out on his cell phone is back. The Forever Mask can cure even the most pungent odors emanating from someone's pie hole. Just sneak up on him and lock it in place. That bad boy's going nowhere. The space-age technology from Bobco will turn that vile projection into smelling like a pine forest. Ah, yeah, the Forever Mask. Some should not have the option to take it off. Welcome to this week's episode of Greater Good Radio. I'm Bob Kosh, and we are broadcasting from WOR 710 AM. We are the voice of New York. Hopefully everybody had a good week, and I would once again invite you to visit www.greatergoodmediallc.com. Check it out, see what we've got going on, and at this point I really want to get down to business. This week we are focusing on veterans. There's not a person in the United States that does not owe a debt of gratitude to those serving in the military. That said, we want to bring your attention to just a wonderful, wonderful organization called Homes for the Brave. We mentioned it last week when we had Hans Hansen on. They are doing a benefit concert on July 24th at a place in Connecticut called The Barn. I understand it's a great venue. The Barn is located at 399 Center Street in Easton, Connecticut. The event starts at 4 and carries through till 9 o'clock. They're featuring local artists, two bands, one called Gold Dust and School of Rock. It really is going to be a great time. I am going to be there. I am going to be playing some of the music I recorded, one in particular, a song called 343 that celebrates the spirit of everyone we lost on 9/11. And it's been 20 years, everybody. But you know, those of us who live in the tri-state area who were around still remember that day like it was yesterday. I want to speak about the goodwill, the good work that Homes for the Brave does. There are, unfortunately, a number of homeless veterans. And what this organization does is just fantastic. You know, these brave men and women are coming out of military service, suffering from PTSD. There should never be a veteran who doesn't have a roof over their heads. And if you look back in history, that's how Levittown was created. It was originally designated affordable housing for veterans. We're very fortunate to have with us the Chief Executive Officer of Homes for the Brave, Mr. Vince Santilli. Vince, thank you so much for being with us on the program today.
Bob, are you kidding? We're delighted to be here with you.
You know, I just admire so much what you folks do. Please tell our audience what your organization does and the upcoming events that you have planned in the weeks to come.
Well, Bob, Homes for the Brave was formed in 2002, and we serve homeless men and women, almost all of whom are veterans, and they just happen to be experiencing homelessness right now. And so we do everything in our power to get them to the point where they can then become permanently housed. We have 3 facilities, all of which are in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Mm-hmm. Our headquarters is in a 42-bed men's transitional house. We
Okay.
have a 14-bed home for female veterans and their young children, which is the only one in the state of Connecticut exclusively for female veterans and their young children.
Mhm.
And then we have a nine-bed permanent house in the Black Rock section of Bridgeport. So all three facilities are within 5 minutes of one another. And in addition to that, here in our men's transitional house, we have a walk-in, drop-in veteran service center with
Mhm.
computer classes, job prep workshops, life skills seminars, therapy dog visits, and the like. And so the programming is just awesome. And we
Yeah.
also have a clinical program that we started in 2019.
Mhm.
Previous to that, our male and female veterans had to go to the VA medical centers in either West Haven or Newington, Connecticut to get mental health treatment. Now we have a clinical program headed up by Dr. Stephanie Lynham, who is our chief clinical officer and a clinical psychologist with a great deal of expertise in dealing with PTSD and overcoming addictions. And so she can treat those and meet with the men and women right here in our house. And
Okay.
our last program is our vocational program, last but definitely not least, because we help our men and women find employment opportunities. And we just have just a stellar record of connecting them with jobs here in all throughout Connecticut
Yeah.
and even beyond.
Yep.
So we're extremely proud of the work we do, and we've always got tons of things happening.
Well, you should be proud. In my head, there is just no way that someone who serves their country should ever be faced with homelessness, um, access to mental health treatment, and I would like to stay there for a second, if you can answer. Um, since your organization has been around, has there been much more of a, let's say, I can't call it an outbreak, but diagnosis of PTSD for veterans returning home from Afghanistan and Iraq?
Well, we see, and what I should tell you, Bob, is in the years since we opened in 2002, and by the way, I've been here since 2016,
Hmm.
but I've been a volunteer here, and I've been in this house on the Sunday before Christmas every year since it opened in 2002 as a volunteer. But it's a lot different when they hand you the keys to the car and say, run the program.
Sure,
And so
sure.
what we've seen, and we have men and women, by the way, in our both of our houses in their 20s. We have them in their 70s and everything in between.
Wow.
And so we see all eras from all conflicts. And, what we continue to see, PTSD is a very, very common denominator in both of our houses.
Sure.
We also have here in our men's house, roughly 20 to 25% of our men at any given time are coming from the Connecticut Department of Corrections. So
Hmm.
their prison term has just ended, and now they are on, typically parole, and
Right.
and they're serving that time in some cases here in
Sure.
our facilities. And again, we're doing everything in our power to get them back on their feet. Sometimes it's a little more challenging helping them find employment opportunities when there's a criminal history involved.
Sure.
But knock on wood, we've been enormously successful doing so.
Well, that's so meaningful because aside from their service, compounding any kind of, for however they got involved in criminal activity, uh, services like yours is really the key to re-entering society. And what you're doing is just, I can't say enough. It's amazing. And I would like you to please let our listeners know what's going on July 24th and also the event you have a couple weeks afterward.
Well, we have a group of professional men and women here in Western Connecticut who have formed a band during the pandemic. And they were all very successful in their own right in various businesses. Some are attorneys and accountants and counselors and so on and so forth. And they formed a wonderful band by the name of Gold Dust.
Yep.
And what they decided is that this summer they're going to dedicate, and the band has, a couple of veterans who are extremely dedicated Air Force veterans and have served this country. And they've looked at our program and our facilities and said, wow, we really want to do what we can and utilize our talents to help Homes for the Brave. And so they're done a series of events, and it's culminating. And I shouldn't say culminating, because July 24th is going to be a big event at a beautiful setting in Easton, where they'll be playing outside a barn, and people will be coming and, bringing their picnic blankets and lawn chairs and just enjoying an incredible afternoon and evening of music and having the opportunity. And the theme is going to be around our program and having the opportunity to support the male and female veterans that we are so proud to serve.
Fantastic. And I will be there along with Hans Hansen, who is a Gold Dust member.
And Hans is also a powerhouse, and he's an unassuming guy, and he is been the driving force behind all this. And when Hans gets an idea, he's like a dog on a pant leg, and this is the guy that has absolutely moved mountains for our male and female veterans. And we could not be more grateful to Hans and Art Lasky and the members of that band. You can go up and down, the men and women that are part of that band, and they play their hearts out for our veterans. It's just awesome to see, and you'll see it. So
yeah, I will be there. I promise you that. Now, what is the event which will take place after the 24th that we spoke of earlier?
Oh, my goodness. So every year, we started in 2015, Step Up, it was called initially, for the brave. And it was, folks climbing, instead of a 5K or a run or a walk, they would climb stairs at the local minor league baseball stadium here in Bridgeport, at the Bluefish Stadium. And it has since moved into the arena. And then last year, we did it virtually, because of course you couldn't do anything where you brought hundreds of people together. Right. So that event started in 2015 with 86 participants, and it raised a modest sum of money, and it has just exploded exponentially each year since then. Whereas last year we had 630 participants in 17 states, and they could take as many steps as they wished to. We didn't do it with stairs. They could do it at their high school track, in their neighborhood, on the beach where they're vacationing. And we had, again, people all across the country. It was just incredible to see. And we went from 2015, where $16,000 in change was raised for this program, to last year, where it was between $108,000 and $109,000. And so we're aiming for north of that this year. And I'm going to tell you, and the reason why, Bob, it's so important is because, at the same time, needs of our veterans continue to increase. A lot of our funding that's come from Washington, D.C. or Hartford, from the federal and state levels, has really declined in the years since 2016, when I arrived. At that time, 74% of our revenue pie was being generated from government sources.
Right.
This year, that number is down to 44%.
Wow.
And when I arrived, 20% of our revenues were generated from outreach, whether it be fundraising events, things like Hands and Art and Gold Dust are doing, clinical fees, which of course back then we didn't have. So the total of that was 20% of our revenue pie. Now it's 53%. And like all nonprofits, you have to be less and less reliant on the government, and more able to go out and generate your own funding. And that's what I think we've been doing. It's been a challenge, but we are just so grateful to so many people, like the people you're going to see performing on July 24th, and so many others that have just kind of, in a sense, taken us under their wing.
Well, Vince, I have to really reinforce to anybody listening that the citizens of this great country are obligated. They're obligated to do something, and this is the place to do it. We're going to try to really get, like I said to you before, maximize exposure. Anybody, you got a couple of bucks, let's get it to Homes for the Brave, and we will continue with you, to make things better.
That will be incredible. And Bob, please consider when you get out to Connecticut on July 24th, depending on your travel schedule and so forth, maybe we can, because I know some of our friends now from New Jersey that Hans has connected us with, including Mrs. New Jersey, wonderful young woman by the name of Kristina Henderson. They're coming here, and I'm going to, kind of show them around before we get out to Easton for the for the festivities.
Okay. Well, I'm a little further south of Kristen, so I will be there. We will communicate before the event, of course. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Bob, and we look forward to seeing you in person.
Take care.
Now a word from Edward Jones.
Don't let concerns about current events derail your long-term financial strategy. Hi, I'm Edward Jones, financial advisor, Joe Bennett, and I'm here to help. We can work together to understand today's financial landscape and make sure you achieve your goals. While you can't control market volatility, you can control your financial future. Let's connect. Start by giving me a call at 631-447-0036. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hi folks, I'm Bob Kosh from Greater Good Radio. Today's real estate market is like nothing we have ever seen before. That's why if you're looking for a home, or a landlord looking to rent your home, or a prospective tenant, someone who needs a rental, it would be a great choice to choose Bonnie O'Malley Real Estate. They're located at 1308 3rd Ave in Spring Lake, New Jersey, 07762. Bonnie has been in the real estate business for years and specializes in residential home sales and rentals. You can call Bonnie at 732-449-2424. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or need a rental, call Bonnie O'Malley, or you can email her at bonnieomalley@verizon.net. My next guest is Kristina Henderson. Kristina is the reigning Mrs. New Jersey, and she's extremely active in the women's business world. We're going to talk to her about that, but Kristina is also involved in the upcoming event for Homes for the Brave. Kristina, thanks so much for being on the program today.
Thank you so much, Bob, for having me. It's a pleasure to be on today.
I would like to first discuss, we've got some ground to cover here, but I want to discuss your involvement with Homes for the Brave.
Sure. So Hans is a friend of mine, and he reached out to me because he's so passionate about helping the veterans. And, that's what life's about, giving back, helping our veterans. They do so much for our country. And Homes for the Brave supports homeless veterans. So It's a very important cause that I'd love to support and help raise awareness for.
Sure. Yeah. And I can't agree more with you, and I really applaud, because you're from New Jersey, and you're going to head up to Connecticut, just like I am. I'm a little further south than you, but we'll be heading up on the 24th for the event to raise money for this cause. Now you're going to be going up early, right, to see some of or actually take the tour on some of the homes that they're putting together for veterans?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to touring some of the homes. They have a home for women veterans too, so I get to tour that. and see the amazing work that they're doing for their community. So I'm so excited. Even though I'm Mrs. New Jersey, I love working with my neighbor states as well, and just getting the word out about these really important causes.
Well, that's what, and I'm glad you just mentioned that, because that's where I was going. As Mrs. New Jersey, would you explain to our audience what your role is, what your, and I'm going to call them duties, are while you are wearing the crown as Mrs. New Jersey?
Sure. So, wearing a crown and a sash, people want to talk to me more. It just helps me amplify the message of nonprofits that I work with. I work closely with the Tigger House Foundation, an organization that's here in New Jersey that helps combat opioid addiction. It's such an important cause that affects not only New Jersey, but of course our nation and the world. It's a global issue. So I'm very passionate about that. I also work with an organization called Applaud Our Kids Foundation. They fund the arts to kids whose families can't afford it. So singing, dancing, instrumental lessons, which, it's so crucial that kids have an outlet, especially during today's world. So I love working with them and helping the kids in the community. And then, as Mrs. New Jersey, I also help give back to women organizations and to women businesses. So I am a woman business owner myself. So I wanted to make it my mission this year to tour the 21 counties of New Jersey and visit with women owners statewide and discuss with them how they pivoted their business during the pandemic, what they did to keep their businesses alive and successful, and really create a support group for women in business. So that's been an incredible experience for me, and it's just been so awesome. So I finished my tour actually on Thursday. I'm going to Camden County and Cape May County, and then so it's just been amazing this year, just supporting the women in business.
That's wonderful. And I know you are, the name of your company is Henderson Promos. If you could talk a little bit about that, but then I want to get into the women's business enterprise. I think it's, especially now that we're hopefully done with this pandemic, and, there are companies, just as you mentioned, that, really just tried to keep their head above water, and a lot of those businesses are run and owned by women in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and please, share with the audience what you have going on there.
Yeah, so I am the CEO and owner of Henderson Promos. We're a branding company. We do promotional products and apparel. So we put logos on anything from t-shirts, hats, to golf bags, surfboards. We offer over 700,000 branded items. So we work with clients nationwide doing all different kinds of fun projects. But during the pandemic, we had to pivot our business. So what we did during the pandemic was we started manufacturing PPE, personal protective equipment, here in the USA. We have a factory now in Santa Ana, California, where we're making 3-ply and 5-ply masks. We actually donated over 100,000 masks to nonprofits and frontline workers nationwide during the pandemic. And so that's something I'm also in now. I never thought I'd be in the PPE business, but I had to pivot and survive. And I'm still doing promos. Promos have picked up again now that events are happening, so that's exciting. And yeah, we're a women business enterprise. We're certified. So what that means is we're majority women owned. So I own the majority of the company. And I get to go to events that are WBENC held, and I get to network with other women-owned businesses, because women-owned is considered a minority-owned. So, certain businesses have to buy from women-owned and support women-owned. So it gives me an opportunity to really mingle with different women owners and expand my business and gain new clients. And it's just a great opportunity. So I definitely recommend to other women owners to look into being a WBENC and what that entails.
Well, what would be your first advice if I was a woman looking to start my own restaurant, salon, financial consulting group? Is there any real bare bones advice you would give to someone straight out the gate?
Sure. So my advice would be to have a mentor. Find someone who's in that trade and who is successful at it. So if you want to open a restaurant, Go to a successful restaurant that you like and speak with the owner and find out, different techniques that they use to make their business successful. That's the best way to get ahead of the curve, is to really have a great mentor, have great mentors in your trade, and it really puts you ahead of the struggles that entail with first opening your business. And then also, in the beginning of your business, don't focus so much on the website, the back end kind of thing. Focus on making that first dollar. Focus on how are you going to make that money? Because so many businesses, they spend so much time building the back end, but they're not making any money. So really, what is the first way that you're going to start making that money, start making that first dollar? And then you can worry about the other stuff later. So that's kind of a little thing. And then just focus on being positive, focus on growing your business, succeeding, and overcoming the difficulties. Every day is a different day, and just use anything that might come in. You might have a day where you struggle or you're dealing with something negative, but just use it to make you stronger and keep on going. It's all about taking risks and not being afraid to fail. And if you do fail, just take it and use it for the next thing.
Right. Listen, Kristina, I need you to tell everybody where they can find you, website address, phone numbers, whatever you got.
Sure. So you can find me. First, my website is hendersonpromos.com if you're interested in any branded items for your company. You can find me on my Instagram, Kristina with a K _Henderson_, or you could find me on my Mrs. New Jersey American Instagram. And then Kristina Henderson, Kristina with a K, Henderson for Facebook. So you could find me on all those different trades. You could email me, kh@hendersonpromos.com.
Right. Kristina, thanks so much for being on Greater Good Radio.
Thank you so much, Bob. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You're listening to Greater Good Radio with Bob Kosh on WOR 710 AM. We are the voice of New York. The future is now, and you can find it at Nielsen Ford. When you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, the place you can trust is Nielsen. This is no pushy online car company that you don't know. Nielsen has been a part of your community and continues to lead the industry by doing it right. No high-pressure sales tactics. Simply put, they're the best in reliability when it comes to taking care of those who have the confidence to visit their showroom. Cutting edge in American technology is putting it lightly. Take a look at the new Ford Mustang or the electric Ford F-150. Stop by Nielsen today at 375 State Highway 23 in Sussex, New Jersey, or visit their website at www.nielsenford.com. You can call them at 973-702-8000 and speak to one of their well-qualified staff to get you on the road with service you can trust. Nielsen Ford, simply the best. We all have questions related to health and prevention. Nobody likes getting sick, but if you do, the offices of John Kelly, MD, is just a phone call away. Are you looking for a primary care physician? Medicine has gotten so complicated, but the medical staff at Dr. Kelly's office are still there to help you now, more than ever. Dr. Kelly has been practicing for over 30 years and continues the same quality for his patients. During the recent pandemic, Dr. Kelly was on the front line for the safety and health of his patients. Don't wait until it's too late. Give us a call if you think you're getting sick. The earlier you start treatment, the better. If you're not feeling well, visit us at 382 West Passaic Ave, Suite 3, Bloomfield, New Jersey, or call us at 973-338-1900. In keeping with our topic, the Homes for the Brave concert on July 24th in Easton, Connecticut, we are very happy to have Leila Shields. Leila is a singer, and she is going to be performing at the event on the 24th. Leila, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I love this opportunity.
Well, we're glad to have you. Please tell our listeners who you are and your involvement in the upcoming project.
Okay. So my name is Leila Jones Shields, and feeling so fortunate to be talking to you today, to be part of this project. I joined the School of Rock adult program this winter. It was my first show and my first experience with them, and it was a great experience. I did the Fleetwood Mac show.
Oh,
I got to sing all sorts of Stevie Nicks and Christine McVie songs that I've loved forever.
yeah.
And it was a really positive experience, especially during a rough winter. So it's really beautiful to make music with this supportive group, and we all learned a lot. And from that experience, I was also so lucky to team up with this group of musicians who wanted to have these summer shows that would support Homes for the Brave, and absolutely just thrilled for that opportunity.
Sure. Now the concert is July 24th. Where can you tell us where it's going to be?
Yes, it is one of the most magical places in Connecticut I've been in a long time. Our great bandmate and very generous host, Art Lasky, has this beautiful barn in Easton, Connecticut. It's right in some of the Aspetuck wilderness, and it is just beautiful and peaceful and filled with history. There are portraits of his ancestors on the walls where we practice, and
Wow.
all sorts of memorabilia. And it's the place is filled with history and character. And we've been lucky enough to rehearse there pretty much all spring, and had one show there for Memorial Day, our kickoff concert, which was a great success despite 50-degree temperatures and pouring rain.
Yeah.
We have fans, and they came out and gave us a lot of cheering and support. And our July 24th concert is going to be at the same location, but hopefully outdoors in the sun on the patio.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Mother Nature has been a little tricky this year.
Yeah.
So hopefully the weather will cooperate. Is this your first blush at singing in total, or is that something you've done before?
That's a good question. I did sing a lot when I was younger. I had a great choral program at my school, and I sung, pretty much all the way up until 9th grade. And I absolutely loved it. And then sports got my attention for a long time, but I've always wanted to do this. So I would say I have waited 30 years to return to something that I've really adored. And I will add another aspect of this. My mom was in a group called the Grace Notes, which is a singing group in Greenwich, Connecticut. They are just celebrated their 50th anniversary in 2019. And so I grew up with the example that she set of singing for good causes. And it's really exciting to now be doing a little bit of what she modeled so beautifully for me.
Sure. Well, you know what? You can't get too much more of a worthwhile project than Homes for the Brave. I just think it's a fantastic thing that you guys are doing. And how did you find, when you think of School of Rock, you think about the movie, you think about little kids, and a lot of you folks aren't little kids. How did you end up there?
No, we know we are older. And that's probably part of, I think, what makes it so fun is that at least my story is that I really have waited 30 years to do this. Yeah. And so I think many of us just are so pinching ourselves that we're actually performing for people and in a band. I mean, it's just a lifelong dream for some of us. And there are others who have been in the performing and practicing music consistently. So it's a nice blend. But I found School of Rock through my town. I live in the town of Westport, very close to Fairfield, and my children have been lucky enough to participate in various School of Rock programs. And so I knew about it, and I finally got the courage to take my turn. So.
Okay. Well, as we say in the business, break a leg. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.
Life is full of peaks and valleys, and between the two, some of those things may have created financial setbacks. You do not have to suffer the anxiety of how to get out of a situation you didn't plan. You don't have to go it alone. The law offices of Edward Hanratty specializes in debt relief, bankruptcy protection, challenging student loans, and mortgage modifications. The law provides us with certain protection, and it's something you should take advantage of when you need it. Call 732-866-6655 or visit their website at www.centralnewjerseybankruptcylawyer.com. Experience and confidence is what the law offices of Edward Hanratty has been providing since 1997. Representation you can trust. Call them today or visit our offices at 80 Court Street, Freehold, New Jersey. The American spirit, its ingenuity, desire, pride, and the chance to achieve your dreams. Have you ever given any real thought about where we would be without the American farmer? Have you ever really asked yourself that question at the dinner table while you're eating with your family? Ben Moore had a vision when he started the Ugly Company. After Ben served as an infantryman in the United States Army, he returned to farming and decided to do something about the waste of perfectly good fruit deemed unmarketable due to nothing more than a blemish or its shape. Thousands of truckloads of fruit are thrown out in California every year. The Ugly Company has taken a giant step in addressing food insecurity. The Ugly Company prevents food waste by upcycling fruit and transforming it into healthy dried fruit snacks. When you order from the Ugly Company, you're getting the best that this Kingsburg, California farming company has to offer. You know, ugly never looks so pretty. Go to www.theugly.company to order online for home delivery and learn more about these healthy, delicious products. I want to take you back for a minute to think of some of the bad advice you've gotten along the way as we were growing up or getting older. You know, people would say, oh, all right, your kid can't swim? Well, just throw him in the lake. He'll learn to swim. Some of the worst advice that I have ever heard. Now, that's important because what happened to us during the pandemic was exactly that. And let me hone in on that a little further. Lots of people were starting projects, starting events, starting all types of things, especially new businesses. Then, boom, the pandemic hits, we're shuttered, and you know what? You've got nothing but the internet, and thank goodness that we did have it, and we do have it. It is the crest of the wave that is taking us on like a tsunami as far as business is concerned. Now, there are a bunch of us who are not that tech savvy, and I am one of them. Believe me, I can tell you that. But our next guest, Morgan Taylor, really makes a lot of sense on how you should approach business, especially sales, how to grow your brand, grow your organization, and I'm going to let her tell you the nuts and bolts of how to do this. Morgan, thanks a lot for being on the program today.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
Morgan, we have had several conversations in the past couple of weeks, and I'm highly aware of what you're doing as far as your marketing company is concerned. I'd like you to tell our listeners what you do, who you are, and so they can get to know you.
Yeah, of course. So I'm a marketing consultant and media producer. I've been consulting for more than 6 years now. And I draw a lot from my background as a filmmaker and a storyteller. So every time I work with businesses, I work hand in hand with them to elevate their brand and tell their story in a way that resonates with their audience. So whether that's websites, multimedia, we find a creative solution to really make them shine.
Okay. Now, your background as a film producer, you were involved with Denny Cline and his documentary An Inconvenient Time, which I just think is a wonderful piece of work. What other projects have you been involved in the past couple of years?
Well, for filmmaking, I studied film in college and have worked on, a couple independent films, student films, but An Inconvenient Time was my start of really working on something to me, that's a phenomenal story, feature length. It's a very inspirational story, and to be a part of the team as an associate producer and an editor of the film was really helpful for me to be involved with.
My big question is, because of what you do, as you know, we just had Mrs. New Jersey on, who is very big in women business, starting a new business. And I think this is the opportune time for someone like you, a young woman entrepreneur, has got her own company. How would you talk to someone who's getting into business and does not know how to market and needs to utilize the internet, things like that? I really want to hear about that.
I'm proud to say I've been really able to help people last year during the pandemic when people needed to be online more and more. There's so much you can do to market yourself now. There's a lot you can take on into your own hands. Social media is all about putting your best foot forward. And I guess the main advice I would say is be consistent. But even before that, you have to do the homework and find out who you are, who you help, and really craft your message. So every piece of marketing content that you put out there, whether it's social media, on your website, in a piece of video content, that message needs to be crafted in a way that resonates with people. So they hear that you're there to help them and that you're a good fit to work with.
Now, that's a very important point, and I want to revisit some content that you and I had in conversation just a couple of weeks ago with respect to, older folks who are, and I hate using that term, but I'm in that group, and I still get intimidated by, trying to navigate certain social media platforms and moreover, the internet. So would you suggest that someone who is looking to get a new business started, and maybe they're over the age of 45 or 50, would it be helpful to utilize, a company like yours or someone of your age group to get started?
I really do think so, Bob. And I think the most important thing is that it doesn't have to be a big complicated process. When you have somebody who is familiar with the industry, with the internet, with multimedia and all the things that it can do, that person can really hold your hand and guide you through the process. So something that seems so overwhelming doesn't have to be. So, I think it is very helpful when our generations come together and you can really make something that, has the ability to speak to a lot of people when we work together.
Sure. Now, and as far as a marketing tool, I'm an old cold canvas salesman, knock on doors type of guy. Is that still an integral part of marketing strategy?
Yes, I do think it's still an integral part. For for the most part, online emphasizes in person. So you can take something that's brick and mortar that has a certain reach and expand that reach through the online presence and reach more and more people who wouldn't otherwise know who you are. So a lot of time web and websites and social media, it's really taking you know, you're doing in-person marketing and expanding you, but the foundation of who you are and what you do in person is still very strong. And yeah, it's important to have that balance, and you reach people through both of those media.
Okay, now to keep this once again in an old school setting, I need to ask you because I'm really not sure. With everything out there, there just seems to be so much competition in every area of sales, marketing. Is it important to maximize what you can do with a search engine about finding, once again, identifying you specifically, your company, your brand, or something that someone can do to really hone in and make you more visible on the internet versus, Joe Schmo?
Right. So in terms of standing out online, the best thing you can do is be yourself. You differentiate yourself by emphasizing the parts that make you strong. So if your business is very hands-on service based, that's something that can stand out. You help your clients, you're there for them. Maybe that's standing out with reviews of previous clients, things like that. But there's push marketing and pull marketing. So with there's like two different things that happen at the same time. And you see this with organic marketing and paid advertising as well. You're putting content out there on social media, but you have ads that pull new people in. So there's this dynamic in marketing. It's like a dance where there's so many functions and pieces you can be doing at the same time to put yourself out in front of the audiences you're already around, but then also pulling in new audiences and people who want to hear what you have to say.
Okay, now is it a different dynamic for the push or the pull? Or if you're getting it out there, is it kind of doing it on its own?
It's a different dynamic, but it's similar because your message is consistent across all platforms and for both of those things.
Right.
But if you have people who already know who you are, they're more prospects, you may talk to them differently than leads who have no idea who you are. You're introducing yourself to new people. So you just bear in mind, and the main thing is always knowing who you're talking to and speaking to them. It matters very little who you are as a business person as much as who's your customer, and then you come alongside to edify the customer.
Now, do you see much of a change in brick and mortar versus online shopping?
Shopping is in products, things like that.
Yeah, shopping as, you know what, I'm going to go buy a pair of new shoes. I have noticed, I have gone to, and I'm not a shopper, except for food, that I'll do, all the time. But if I go out to a clothing store now, I'll see something that I like on the rack, and they'll tell me, well, I'll order it for you. Now, is that a signal that brick and mortar really is kind of on the way out completely? Or are they just saving money by not having to stock the shelves? Is that something that you've thought about?
Well, for one thing, my specialty is more on service-based business. But to your point, I have a client who's like, I work with contractors. I have a window manufacturer who makes and sells windows. A lot of his clients come in through social media, website. Now that we have that, people fill out a form, but he has the, in-person, people see a billboard, people see the warehouse, they stop by the warehouse. So you do have both happening at once. I don't think brick and mortar is going away. And I, for one, definitely I prefer to shop for my clothes in person. So it's all personal preference. Everyone's different, but I do think that both can exist at the same time, and you see a hybrid of just emphasizing both marketing strategies for brick and mortar and then online.
Gotcha. Morgan, I want you to tell everybody where they can find you, and once again, the importance of having a radio interview.
Well, having a radio interview is definitely very important. Thank you, Bob, so much for having me.
Atta girl.
The PR goes hand in hand with marketing. So just, being out there, I guess my biggest advice there for businesses who want to prospect more, it's all about telling your story as often as possible. So whether that's in bulk online through social media or one-on-one conversations at the grocery store, you just want to tell your story. But radio is a good way to go.
I really believe a lot of this is important for people to hear. And quite honestly, having someone like you pushing for them is a big deal. So give us your website, your phone number, all the stuff where people can find you.
Perfect. So my name is Morgan Taylor and my company is Morgan Taylor Marketing. You can find us, learn more about us at morgantaylormarketing.com or call 973-821-3322.
Morgan, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Bob.
Many survivors of sexual abuse remain silent about their trauma and suffering for years. That pain negatively affects an individual from the shame they've endured as a victim. Opening up is a key component to healing. Jeff Henderson and Associates pioneered the use of civil litigation to seek justice for survivors of child sexual abuse. Widely recognized as one of the most prolific and successful litigators of child sexual abuse cases against churches and other institutions, Jeff Henderson has handled priest, Boy Scout, school, and athletic organization abuse cases in numerous states throughout the nation. They are smart, tough, and relentless, but it's virtue and compassion that ultimately makes them uniquely qualified to represent those who seek to move forward. Some windows of time for filing claims in certain areas are closing. Contact Jeff Henderson and Associates for real-time updates in these matters. Call 1-800-ITS-TIME or visit their website at www.andersonadvocates.com. Offices located at 55 West 39th Street, 11th floor, New York, New York, 10018.
With so much financial uncertainty, are you wondering if your retirement savings will last? The market's ups and downs can keep you guessing, especially if you're approaching retirement or considering it. Hi, I'm Edward Jones, financial advisor, Joe Bennett. If you have more questions and answers about what's next, let's work together to help ensure you're prepared for the future. After all, retirement isn't the end of the road, it's a new beginning. Call us at 631-447-0036. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Starting a business or advancing your platform is no walk in the park. The challenges of today's marketplace should be navigated by those who know its ups and downs. Morgan Taylor has the skill set to provide any brand, organization, or company with guidance for growth. Morgan Taylor Marketing offers web development and creative services for business owners and entrepreneurs. You can contact Morgan at morgantaylormarketing.com or call her at 973-821-3322.
That's it for this week's program, and thank you again for joining us on Greater Good Radio. We'll see you next week, same time, same channel. Have a good week.